It's a beautiful morning here, bit overcast, but it's just so serene and so peaceful that although it's overcast, it still warms your heart.
You sound like a poetess.
Yes, it is so beautiful to be here with Shamian, my niece, and her husband Owen. And you know, it's like being visiting your daughter and your son-in-law. They are so loving and caring and attentive. Shamian felt this morning we had been eating a lot of stuff as elderly folks should not be eating. And she said, this morning, Auntie, we're going to have a healthy breakfast. So she got up and she made oats and fruits of all description. We are so happy to have strawberries and cherries because, as you well know, in Trinidad, we pay a lot of money for these fruits, and there are nothing like this. Our strawberry that we would get is nothing in comparison to this. Oh, and these cherries are just so luscious and sweet. Yeah, delicious. It's really good. Fresh and good and delicious. Sometimes you buy them in Trinidad. I'm not bashing Trinidad because these are foreign fruits. And by the time it gets to Trinidad, they're overripe. Lots of it is spoiled. But here you are, everyone is juicy and delicious. Healthy morning for breakfast. A healthy breakfast this morning. But I am enjoying every moment of it. You know, one of the beautiful things about family life, family life is really best enjoyed as we become elderlies. And there is a saying, what goes around comes around. When our nieces and nephews were young, we always did beautiful holidays together. We went, in those days you couldn't travel as much, and we did things like go to Mayaro, go to Toko, go down to Kakas, and everybody, all nieces and nephews, we were like one family, brothers and sisters. And now these kids have grown up and have become adults. And when you go to visit them, it is just superb treatment you get, like it is visiting your own daughter. And the husband is so accommodating. When he heard that we were coming to Florida and we didn't plan to come to Jacksonville, he was appalled. They're going to be in Miami and not come to Jacksonville to visit us. And they started to see how they can arrange flights and stuff like that. But it was so expensive because we had already planned to go on to see another niece in Cayman. So, anyway, our good friend said, she said, man, I will drive you all up. And here we are today, really enjoying our time with Owen and Shamian. As I say, when you extend yourself outside of your very immediate family and you extend yourself to your siblings' offspring, there is great benefit. Although, when I was doing it as they were kids, I never thought of an investment. It was out of love. And it was so much fun doing stuff with these kids. And now they are adults. Charmaine is not here with us right now. She's looking at a funeral. But we are very grateful for all that she and Owen are doing to make our vacation very memorable. Kindness to the max. Yeah, as we're on vacation, you know, I like to go back to the night. In '87, we had our first family trip with our 4 children. Lyndon was just 4 at the time, and Lasana was 7. The girls were 9 and 11. And we came to go to Orlando and maybe do some other stuff. And a good friend of ours from Trinidad lived at Minnesota at the time. And when he heard that we were in Florida, he says, I am coming to get you all, to take you all back to Minnesota. We drove all night. I think it took something like 32 hours to get to us in Orlando. And we drove all the way back that Sunday after meetings, all the way back to Minnesota. And, you know, that was quite a sacrifice for someone to do, to come and get you and your family to take you to Minnesota. Well, Lance upped for that trip because he looked at so many westerns and he just thought that, well, boy, now I'm going to be able to actually see America. I'll be passing along the highway that maybe once horses trod upon. Yeah, so the man didn't have to convince Lance. So we went to Minnesota and we had a great time with our kids there, and Eric and Jack, Eric and Joy, and they too were great hostess. We have been fortunate over the years to have great friends and wonderful family. And then in 1992 we went back when the kids were older, and this time Lance drove. And we visited friends in South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia. Again, these are all friends. Some of them we never knew, but because of connection to their own family, they were willing to have us visit them. And it was just wonderful. And, you know, a lot of people, I'm not criticizing anyone, but a lot of people like a hermit life, it would seem, not interacting too much, not trusting too much. Granted, I know that in today's world we have to be a little more guarded and careful, but I'm glad when my kids were young we didn't have that sort of, we didn't have to worry about that kind of, to be distrustful. And because it broadened the kids' horizons so much to be really visiting in other lands, the exposure to touch the soil of countries is a wonderful thing. You may see it a lot on different medias, you can see a lot of places, but to be there, to eat the food, to interact with the people, that makes it real. And I love things that are real, not camouflage, just real. We also visited friends in Australia. We had a European trip with our daughter Liba. We went to Holland and we used the fast train. We went from Holland, we went to France, we went to Switzerland, Belgium, and more or less, yeah. But the experience is wonderful. And you know, a lot of people would say, when I retire, I plan to travel. When I retire, I plan to travel. But I have seen so many people who died very quickly after retirement. And they never was able to enjoy life together because working is such a rat race. So I would like to see the young people with their families. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be wealthy to make a trip. Granted, I know that a lot of our trips we were able to make because of friends and family. But I remember when we went to Minnesota, a couple said to us, "How long have you been saving for this trip?" And I was like, "No, we decided we want to make a family trip." And we came. There are places like credit unions and banks and Susu that you can raise funds and make a trip and pay it back after. So you don't have to wait till you get your lump sum to make a trip. And honestly, when you're younger, you can really enjoy a trip. I am very happy that before Lance was 70, we did a lot of our long trips. Our friends, we met in California, Joe and Gary, and we went off to Hawaii for a week, and that was quite an experience. Actually being there, and 2 weeks later, the volcano blew up. We get everybody's skin off our teeth. So we went to Oregon with friends. We drove up to the, what do you call it, Nancy?
Oregon Trail.
The Oregon Trail. We slept in a caravan. Oh, it has been wonderful. I am reminiscing on it, being here and being in that holiday mood. I can reminisce about our times together. I'm happy that Lance, although when planning a vacation, he sometimes was a little skeptical that maybe we can't afford it. And I will convince him as the financial person. Lancey, don't worry. We will pay back the loan. Don't worry. So, I would like to say, I've heard a lot of women would say to me, "It's so wonderful how you and Lance and the family travel. My husband don't like to go anywhere." But, you know, I think that men are quite comfortable. I don't want to generalize, but I get the impression from Lance and even other men that they are quite comfortable in their comfort zone. Being at home seems to be what they like best, especially they're happy at home. So going on a vacation, they think about all the, oh gosh, I can't take on being in a plane for 5 hours, or worse yet, when we were going to Australia, 13 hours on a plane. Gosh, Louise, I can't handle that, you know. But when you get there, you're very glad. So you kind of think about the negatives. You have to be positive. Another thing is, men like to know they drive themselves and they're in control. But when you're in a plane, the pilot responsible for your life. But my brother-in-law said to me something once that I sometimes say to Lance. He says, I said, how you feel about traveling? Because he loved to travel. What about flying? He said, I don't worry. He said, I am in the hands of the pilot. And if the pilot tell me, go on the wing, he said, I go on because he has to be responsible for me. And that's a wonderful way to look at it. But a lot of men are afraid to travel because they're not in control. But if you want to get somewhere, you have to go through whatever preliminaries you have to go through to do what you want to do. So here I am again, once more, enjoying America, enjoying the change of scenery. It's pretty nice and cool right now at the lakeside. They expect thunderstorm later, but Charmin and I plan to go shopping anyway. Lancy might be worried about us being out there, but it's not too far away. Shopping area not too far away. So Lancy, what do you have to say?
What can I say? All I can say is, Louis is my pilot, and if he tells me, sit down on that bench there, boy, and let's enjoy a good breakfast, I go in on the bench. Just like my brother was willing to go on the wing of the plane. But it is true, eh? It is true that men like their comfort zone. But I have always maybe hesitated along the way to go on holidays, but wherever I go, I immerse myself in what is offered. And as a result, I can really be here and enjoy it. And that has been the tempo of my perspective all along the journey. I was just looking at some ducks crossing this little lake here.